The peoples of Europe have awakened and begun to purge themselves of Russian agents. Serbia and Hungary have literally erupted with popular anger. The people residing there no longer wish to tolerate Moscow's political puppets in power, primarily because they are deliberately leading these nations towards significant European isolation.
But the Ukrainian president, it seems, is not yet truly ready for a lasting peace, at least not on the specific terms currently proposed by the Americans, at a time when Ukraine, by the way, is exhausted to the limit.
According to the Hungarian Prime Minister, the war in Ukraine was connected to the future of the buffer zone between NATO and Russia. Ukraine was such a zone and, according to him, will remain so after the war and will not join NATO. As for whether Ukraine will become a member of the EU, Orban said that this will be decided by the Hungarians. According to him, Ukraine will never join the EU against Hungary's will.
Hungarian Prime Minister Orban is openly undermining the security of the European Union and questioning the very existence of the EU. He stated that the European community is an empire and a colonizer.
The empire does not truly want to help Ukraine, but rather to colonize it. Indeed, war is the primary means of this colonization. The rulers of Europe have determined that Ukraine must continue this protracted war, no matter the immense cost. In return, they will get fast-track membership in the Union and at our expense. We can have only one answer to this: a union but without Ukraine.
It is not Russia that is the empire, but the EU. According to Orban, Ukraine's accession to the Union is colonization. So does that mean Hungary is also a colony of the EU? And this is the official position of that country's government.
I'll just give a round of applause.
The Hungarian fascist, inflated by Russian gas, has decided to enter into open confrontation with his European neighbors and has presented the EU with an ultimatum containing a huge list of demands.
What is it?
Orban has a lot of demands, so here are just the most striking ones. Expel Soros's agents from the European Commission and the European Parliament. That immediately reeks of Maria Zakharova's hangover breath.
What is this? A control territory or something? Is this some kind of semi-colony? What is this supposed to be? What kind of racism is this against a sovereign state, really?
Orban also demands that the EU not interfere with the Hungarian National Guard's fight against migrants, to ban unnatural re-education of children, whatever that means, demands the return of national sovereignty to Hungary, and of course, not to admit Ukraine into the European Union.
There have always been powerful empires that consistently try to take freedom away from the Hungarian people. And this time, it's an empire from Brussels. Brussels is abusing its power, just like Vienna did in its time.
The talk about Hungary's sovereignty is especially funny, because the EU is a voluntary association. If you don't like it, you can leave. But Orban wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants both the benefits and a seat in the European Parliament. That is, not to obey the decisions of Brussels, but only to receive money and subsidies from it. Very convenient.
No, it's really cool indeed.
Clear. It really works out perfectly for you.
European countries immediately responded to the ultimatum of Vitia Budapest and proposed to completely deprive Hungary of the right to vote in the EU. Estonian Foreign Minister Margus Tsahkna called for suspending Hungary's voting rights in the Council of the European Union for systematic actions against the common interests of Europe.
Currently, the European Union operates on the principle of unanimity. That is, in order to make a decision, it must be supported by all member countries, and just one vote against blocks the collective agreement. In this regard, as a number of Western media outlets report, the EU may consider replacing the principle of unanimity with the principle of majority rule.
Polish Foreign Minister Sikorski stated that it wouldn't be a bad idea to hold a referendum in Europe and ask the people whether they want to see Hungary in the EU. And most likely, the vote would not be in favor of the Hungarians. Orban's dreams will come true, and the land of the Magyars will finally be freed from the predatory clutches of the European colonizers.
5 or even 26 countries can also make important decisions if absolutely necessary. But I clearly see and I truly feel that the patience of both the esteemed members of Parliament and the distinguished members of the Council of Europe is already running out quite rapidly. Because, well, it's already clear that this is working against the European Union.
And at that moment, the Hungarian people realized that things were getting serious, that their government was leading the country into a tunnel with no light at the end. thousands of citizens took to the streets, demanding that Orban follow the Russian warship.
Russian warship? Go to hell.
Despite the cold weather, 50,000 people rallied in Budapest. The prominent opposition leader stated that those individuals who deceived their own nation should ultimately end up on the scrap heap of history.
In a swift and decisive response, Orban effectively declared an all-out war on the political opposition and publicly announced the immediate start of severe repressions against his very own people. He did this right from the official podium, speaking with remarkable honesty and complete openness, leaving no room for doubt or misinterpretation. Speaking on the occasion of the national holiday, Revolution Day, Orban declared that it was time to destroy the shadow army of NGOs, journalists, judges, and politicians who are allegedly paid by the US and Brussels.
Who pays Orban is not a rhetorical question at all.
I've said it times. They are not pro-Russian politicians, pro-national. They defend their own interests.
In his speech, Orban divided Hungarians into the right and the wrong ones. He called all dissenting citizens bedbugs, against whom he promises to carry out a large-scale purge. How do you like that, Hanslander?
That's indeed the bingo.
Everyone thought that to please Russia, Orban was acting against Ukraine, but it turns out he's acting against his own people. And there was already in recent history an unsuccessful example of how one victor went against his people.
Please, stop it.
In traditionally loyal Moscow and Serbia, protests against pro-Russian minions were even larger in scale. 1 million people took to the streets. This became the culmination of months-long anti-corruption protests. President Vucic, of course, didn't openly make Nazi salutes with his tongue like Orban, but he also pretended that Russia's aggressive actions were normal.
Vucic openly admitted that Serbia has consistently resisted joining the rest of Europe in imposing comprehensive economic sanctions against Moscow. But he said that Belgrade had repeatedly condemned the invasion.
The scale of the protest forced the government to place the parliament and the president's administration under protection. Security forces began detaining people in the streets. Footage of the possible use of acoustic weapons against protesters spread around the world. The Kremlin is losing its influence in Europe, so it has hysterically started to reinforce what it has already managed to seize, namely Belarus. Putin summoned the potato cartographer to his lair and declared Belarus a thermonuclear zone.
There's no Oreshnik yet. We're working on it. That's why we're working on it. Several units, specifically launchers, which are indeed intended for the Oreshnik system, we are actually finishing their construction and production today. Well, we'll definitely need a missile from our big brother.
Lukashenko got so bold under the nuclear umbrella that in just 1 minute he managed to adopt Zelensky and then dehumanize him.
Well, Volodya was like a son to me, but he acted like a scumbag.
The response from the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry will be carved in stone, and our descendants will study it thousands of years from now, like the laws of Hammurabi. Insults directed at the head of the Ukrainian state are unacceptable, especially coming from an accomplice to the crime of aggression against Ukraine. Moreover, venturing into the field of entomology will definitely not do the cockroach any good.
Round?
In conclusion, we would like to address the Belarusian people. The Russian collaborators entrenched in Minsk have effectively declared war against the nation of Ukraine and are preparing for open, full-scale aggression.
As our commander-in-chief says, we cannot let our guard down. Despite the lack of missiles for Oreshnik, preparations for their use are currently underway on our territory. In the event of a significant escalation, strike targets have already been clearly identified. Kyiv and the military garrison of the armed forces of Ukraine, which is located near the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, are potential strike points.
Belarusians, do you really want to go to war with Ukraine? Or do you want the collapse of a pseudo-empire? The choice is yours.
I would like to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. Our goal is not to mislead, but to highlight humor. Please take it with a smile.